You have to think presuppositionally. And when you do, there are certain bedrock issues. And you may believe the truth about certain bedrock issues. But if you don't know why you believe the truth about those bedrock issues, then you are a person living in a very dangerous world. I cannot tell you how many people over the years I have encountered. They'll call up here, they'll email, they'll get in touch with me in some way, shape, or form. My dear brother in ministry, my wife, my husband, my children, whatever, they have gone off into such and such a religion, and I just never thought this could happen. And this is what they say converted them. And it's very often either an issue right one level above, or it's those foundational issues that we don't like talking about, that we don't like dealing with, we don't like preaching sermons on. But without those foundational beliefs, then our faith can't stand. And that's all of a sudden, would you please come talk to this person? As if once the foundation has come apart, I can just come in and repair the foundation, rebuild everything. Generally, once the foundation goes, you get to rebuild the whole house. And that's what you've got in situations like that. So people ask, well, why would someone who was raised in a church for 30 years of their life all of a sudden do this type of thing? Because in 30 years of their life, they assumed the truthfulness of this body of beliefs, but they weren't instructed as to why it was true or how they're related to one another. You know, it's sort of like back east, doesn't happen here. Well, I guess up north it does. But, you know, you get water in between things, and then it freezes and thaws and freezes and thaws. That water can break rock. As long as there's the cracks there to get it into. And same thing when it comes with one's entire system of belief. And so I've talked to a lot of former us. And it is the unwillingness or just simply not being taught to ever think presuppositionally, to see the foundations of arguments, to see what is important about your own belief that is so important. And that's why we deal with Sola Scriptura, because there are lots of people who will say, oh, yes, sufficiency of Scripture. But what does that mean? What does that exactly mean? When you say Scripture is sufficient, are you saying that there is a simple text to look at that will answer every question that we could possibly ask about the use of CRISPR technology in altering the human genome today? When we're talking about the sufficiency of Scripture, we have to be very specific as to what we're saying. We have to understand why we're making the assertion that we're making. And a lot of people just don't know why we believe it. They just know that it's foundational. And once they stop believing it, that pretty much means they're not a Christian anymore. And so they go looking for something else to take the place of these foundational truths.